Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another mildly interesting video. You know, people often tell me online, dude, just because you saw this comic book at a bookstore and just because the main character had the same name as one of your best friends and just because they're the same age, have the same interest, and also the back of the book reminded you of an Indonesian version of Sailor Moon, that does not mean you need to buy that book. You hear that? It's the sound of my financial recklessness. So I was thinking about what video should I make about. I mean, we have Cyberpunk Edge Runners, we have some of the Makoto Shinkai films I all watch and were pretty good. We have some Chris Nolan films, we probably have, say, some underrated TV shows like Severance or Black Mirror. But then I saw this at the bookstore and I just couldn't pass up on it. This is the Asih. It's an Indonesian comic series focusing on the adventures of 17-year-old high school girl Alana, who realizes she can transform into the alter ego Asih, which, from my experience so far, is the Indonesian Sailor Moon. I'm not kidding. Now, pretty much the only reason I actually bought this book was just because the main character had the same name as one of my best friends. So yeah, I know that's a pretty dumb reason, but then I bought the first volume, and it wasn't actually all completely bad. It was actually pretty enjoyable. I'm going to be giving a short review of this first volume. There's not a lot to go through. This is how thick the first volume is. I spent like a good $4 on this. It's like 80,000 here in Indonesia. If you convert that to US dollars, it's around $4, which is not a lot of money, but here, if you have 80,000 rupiah, you might as well have gold. First thing I'll say about this book is the artwork. The artwork is actually pretty good. Some of the shading can feel a little awkward, and the coloring can also feel a little awkward. I don't really get this, but overall, it's pretty enjoyable. It's still readable. It actually looks pretty good at some points. I mean, overall the shading is not excellent. We're not talking about premium comic quality over here, but this is pretty good quality over here. It makes the reading experience more enjoyable. I also like the character designs. The character designs, they feel natural. The proportions feel right overall. They don't actually feel like they're just stick figures in a way, so there is that. But the thing is, this is not an artwork book. This is a comic series, so there's gotta be some sort of plot or story here to tell, so let me tell that story for you. Alana is a 17-year-old badass high school girl who has a crush on this guy named Indra who's in the film club. That's actually kind of part of the reason why she joined that film club in the first place. Now, one day, the film club decides to have an outing, and so naturally they decide to go to a haunted house. Now, something that I have not mentioned about Alana is that she can actually see ghosts. She has that sort of power to see dead people and stuff around her. That kind of stuff. So, naturally, she's actually scared on the inside because, it's ghosts. But on the outside, she looks like this badass, brave, high school woman. Now, in that outing, they all decide to go down to the carnival to have some fun and play some games. And in the meantime, Alana and Indra get closer to each other. Until Alana sees an old woman trying to move some stuff, and no one is helping her because everyone's too busy playing games. And in that moment, the moment I saw that old woman, I was immediately, oh, I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen after she helps her. She's gonna give him the brooch. And then it turns out that brooch is magical and she'll be able to turn into a magical girl. I mean, I know my magical girl stuff well. I watched the first episode of Miraculous Ladybug. I am not okay with this. So yeah, long story short, later in the cabin, the friends get possessed by the evil ghost in the haunted house because of course that's actually what's there. And Alana realizes she can use that brooch to turn into Asih, this girl over here, the one in the black suit. That actually looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Long story short, she saves her friends, the friends don't remember anything about being possessed, and they all go home at the end of the day. So overall the story is pretty predictable. The moment you see the old lady, you immediately know what's going to happen next. But even still then, it's pretty fun because there's actually one gimmick of Asih that actually makes her really unique and interesting to see fight. She doesn't actually use frisbees or bows or swords or any of that kind of stuff. She actually uses ribbons, as a matter of fact. She actually uses ribbons to attack and tie up her enemies. That's actually really unique. I have never seen another hero character or magical girl actually fighting with ribbons unless I'm not watching enough of that stuff. But overall, this still makes it really interesting to see how she's gonna fight these enemies in the future. Cause besides Roxy and Richard from Scott Pilgrim, I don't know any other characters that would fight using ribbons in a way. And even Roxy had metal bits on the ribbon that actually make them lethal and deadly. This was just straight up cloth, nothing else. So that will be very interesting to see how this story progresses. But the problem is I couldn't pirate it online. I tried everything. I tried all the websites I knew that could pirate comic book series. This wasn't any of the list. So it seems like I'm gonna actually have to go back to the bookstore to buy the second volume. The entire thing was legally free on Webtoon. I think my financial recklessness just got worse.